Why not be excited?
We are indeed excited. My name is Anna Bartholomew, and this is...
I'm Gini Holden.
And we are Blue Cat. We're going to be telling you a little bit more about us today. But first of all, I'd like you to get to know my amazing business partner, Gini, a little bit better. She is the inventor of Bag for Life. I know, incredible, right? So, Gini, tell us more about that.
Okay. Bag for Life actually only exists because I desperately wanted to make sure some people stayed in jobs. That's literally the idea. I was working for a company called British Polythene Industries at the time, and I'd just been to a place in Lancashire. Oh God, now you can tell I'm ex-Lancashire, can't you? Because my accent's gone completely. My mother would kill us. Called Nelson. And Nelson is one of those typical northern towns. And this was, God, mid-90s, mid to late 90s. And they were, you found this factory down these load of back streets, tiny, tiny back streets with all these back-to-backs. And there it was right at the end. And what this company did was they were really good at making plastic bags, obviously. That's in the end where Bag for Life is, with the big flexi loop handles on which you now see as Bag for Life. And they were very good at printing. But in the world that was then, the supermarkets wanted cheaper and cheaper bags because they gave them away free. And it cost the likes of Tesco's around £66 million a year. They were just throwing down the drain, literally throwing down the drain. Packaging waste legislation was coming in, which means that not only were they having to pay for the bag, they were going to have to pay for the potential disposal of the bag. And therefore, we were looking at moving all, not we, but British Polythene Industries. We'd built a factory in a place called Xingui in China, and we were looking at moving all production outside to that. So this poor factory would not be there. No one needed the bags. And I just remember walking around that day and looking at all these, and they were all men then, all these men. They must have been in their mid to late 50s, maybe even 60s. And I was like, we're just going to be making you redundant. And it was like this big dark cloud on my head. I left and I was driving back, and it was a Friday, and I got stuck on the M6. And I'm sure if anyone knows the M6, you'll know there's a bridge over the Manchester Ship Canal called Thelwell Viaduct, which always makes me laugh because I think of Little Ponies. Thelwell used to do cartoons with ponies. Anyway, we were on there, and all of a sudden traffic came to a standstill. And this was the days before mobile phones. Okay, I am that old. And she just had the radio, and it was like, you know, on the radio thing, you're going to be stuck here forever. So everyone turned off their engines. We were just sat on the M6 on Thelwell Viaduct in the rain. And I had no idea how long I was being there. So I was just sitting there, and in the back of my head, I was getting, all I could think about was those poor people. I can't, if there's anything I can do. And then that week I'd been to see Waitrose because we supplied bags to Waitrose. I'd also been to see Pyra, which were the packaging waste people. And I was like, well, all of a sudden this thing appeared in my head. Well, the only thing we can do is make people buy carrier bags. Because if they bought carrier bags, what would happen is that it would be supermarkets would make a profit, and therefore they'd pay more. So I literally, and then I had parking tickets. Because I couldn't get my notebook. So I had parking tickets. And I remember getting a pen out and scribbling on parking tickets, right? These challenges, got to do this, got to do that, got to do the other. And we were still there 4.5 hours later. It was Friday night, it was the rain, and it was a really bad accident. I'd worked out that we had to get people to buy carrier bags. And the only way I could get people to buy carrier bags was not selling them a carrier bag. Let me explain that one. In your brain, if you're asked to do something, it goes into a payoff. Is this worthwhile doing it? Right? Whether you want to learn something new, you want to go and do something, your brain goes, I've got to expend energy, I've got to do something. Is it worthwhile doing? And the thing is, if you had something free, carrier bags were free, and I'm now going to ask you to spend at least 10p, your brain is going to go, don't be stupid. It was free. Why would I spend 10p? So I knew what I had to do was not ask you to spend 10p. And then I was lucky enough to have done a particular type of degree at university, which meant I understood how the brain was being structured. And also my PhD research was also based in how your brain makes decisions based on evolutionary programs, because there's stacks in here subconsciously we've no idea about. Very much like when you digesting your breakfast, like I am at the moment, I don't know how my body's doing that. It's just getting on and doing it. So I then started to think about those things, and to cut an incredibly long story short, I decided that what we needed to do was play with how the brain programs information about language and how it feels about an evolutionary, what we call affordance, which is when you pick up something and it's thick, you think it's strong. Your brain doesn't even go through that, it just knows it. So what we did is the little strap line at the front, and we were the first people to use the separators between shopping. We put a message on there, which, if you think about it, has what's called a meter, as in it's got a rhythm to it. And that's related to how your brain stores information and knowledge from us being oral cultures. God, this sounds complicated. Anyway, it's bag for life, free. No, it wasn't. Hold on. Now I'm getting confused. It was bag for life, 10p if it breaks free, which is what's called iambic pentameter. Da, 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 da. Your brain's very good at remembering things with rhythm and structure, because we were oral cultures for a very, very, very long time. Anyway, so you've read that because you were waiting at the till point, and then you go and the wonderful till person goes, putting them through, and they go, how many bag for lives do you want? Now, language has a very particular structure. If someone asks you how many, you have to choose a number. You can't say I don't want any. Physically, your brain will choose a number. Or if the till person didn't want to say that, they'd say, do you want 2 or 3 bags for life? So again, you're given a choice. So, and you're busy doing other things. So what you remember is bag for life, free, because that's the last thing you heard. And you also have been asked to choose. So you choose a number. You then start filling up your bag for life. So they're thick, they're really strong. So you physically put more in a bag. So what in the end happened is you bought the bag for life because I never asked you to buy it. I just asked you how many you wanted. You also filled it up more because it was thick. So we started to get 2 things. We reduced the number of carrier bags significantly, and we created a profit centre. And we launched in Milton Keynes, Waitrose. Well, it was Milton Keynes and Bury St Edmunds, but the Milton Keynes, Waitrose one, we sold out in the first 2 days. A whole run of it. I've still got one downstairs. It's got apples and oranges on it. It sold out. And that's where we started. So using how your brain works, and also choosing the right customer, because Waitrose then, and probably still are, were the most ethical and green supermarket going. They really wanted to do things that mattered. And it was also thanks to 2 people there, which was Paul Ostadell and Nick Jones. Yeah, so that's where bag for life, that's the whole thing, and it's based on how your brain's programmed.
I think Gini is the only person I've ever worked with that's in Wikipedia. That's my claim to fame. My business partner is in Wikipedia as the inventor of bag for life. How cool is that? Something I thought I would never say. So we are Blue Cat, blue as in the colour, cat, K-A-T. Gini, tell us about Blue Cat. What are we and what do we do?
Right, so if one of Anna's and my bugbears, and that's actually it's been my whole life, is for any business to be successful, you've got to sell. And yet everyone hates selling. Well, not everyone. I love it, and Anna loves it, and there are very few of us who actually love selling. But we also recognise it's got a structure and process to it, and that as a salesperson, your life is so much easier if someone brings you people who want to buy. You know, the industry calls it lead generation, but I think what we really need to think about it is a queue of people at your door who know who you are and want what you've got. And this is also an art. So selling face-to-face ones, there's the art, but getting them to you means you could do the selling a lot better. So what Anna and I have constructed is putting together science, sort of the things we just talked about in Bag for Life, and the amazing world of technology now, we can bring you those people, because what we can do is, what we've worked out is how to manage the communication in their heads, how we talk to them, but also manage the decision-making environment around them, so they go through that process of paying off why they should come to you to buy. In the end, the science is all about risk reduction, but the technology brings into people's everyday world, through email, through other things they interface with, someone's product. And it's literally only been available, or the ability to do this technology-wise has only been around about for maybe 1 or 2 years. But the thing Anna and I bring, which is completely unique, is the way that you can, either we do it for you or you do it for yourself, structure those messages. So in the end, Blue Cat is about having a queue of people at your door who want to buy. Now we hand it over to you, and you need to convert those into sales. But we know they want to buy.
Yes, so Blue Cat, we help founders and executives to sell more using science, which again is something I never thought I would say until I met Gini. She is our resident scientist, amongst many other things, including amazing salesperson. Gini, why do you want to do this? Why do you want to help people in business sell more, make more money, make more profit?
Well, I suppose in the end, for me, it always goes back to those guys at Nelson Packaging, which is, I've always believed small business. I always believe everyone matters, full stop. Doesn't matter who you are, I believe you matter. But one of the things I think is really important is that everyone can build better businesses if they can sell more, right? And especially in communities, selling more to local people, whether you're a hairdresser or you're a local chiropractor, right? That means you deliver money back into the local economy. So one of the things we did is bring down the price point enough for people like that to use this. So you could be a big, huge, I've spent 30 years influencing people's buying behavior when I've been at P&G or Mars or Microsoft. But in the end, for me, it was always the small businesses that matter, because they keep communities together. There we go. So people matter. That's why I do it.
People do matter. It's true. They matter very much. If you could give one piece of advice to anybody in business who would like to sell more, what's one thing that they could implement within the next week that would see an improvement in their sales?
Understand why someone buys something. Because what someone buys is not what you think you're selling. And this is, to me, that has always been, it's the biggest challenge I've seen any business face. And I'll give you an example. The first one I ever started to think about this properly is when I was at Procter & Gamble. We were looking at shampoo. Obviously, P&G do shampoo. And there was this whole program to look at how you sold more shampoo, obviously. And what they realized, or what I remember being in this meeting and the discussions which were going on, is people didn't buy shampoo. They bought clean hair. And they might have bought clean hair that smelled nice. So it actually wasn't shampoo they bought. And then we started having this discussion about, well, what if your hair was thick, or the hair was curly, or it's... and all of a sudden you could start to see these product extensions, as in how you could extend out the brand from clean hair to clean hair with cosmetic benefits for your type of hair. And you can see that now across the whole of that industry, but it didn't really exist looking at it in that way before then. So when you're selling what you're selling, and this is one thing we can take you through in Blue Cat, but I recommend you do anyway. What is someone really buying when they buy from you? So again, a car. No one buys a car. It's not what you didn't buy a car. You buy the ability to move from A to B with brand affiliation, especially in the UK, the car you drive says something about you. So you're moving from A to B, you've got brand affiliation, with certain other aspects, but the most important one and why people justify it more than anything else is it's a time of my choosing. So they'll pay all that money. I mean, I live in a place where you can get the train into the local town. It takes about 15 minutes. And yet every single person I know takes the car, and it takes them at least 3/4 of an hour. But they justify that in their heads. And this is about decision making. It's about payoff. It's about risk, that it's when they chose to go. That's why people buy things. And this is the most important thing to look. You know, I don't buy a haircut. I'm off to get my haircut later. It's a bit long at the moment. I'm buying an image I believe I want to be. So this is the most fundamental thing. Stop and think and see if you can break down into areas. What is someone really buying? Because once you've got that, you know what you're selling. No one bought shampoo. No one bought a car. No one bought a haircut. They buy what those things do for them.
Powerful stuff. Thank you, Gini. I have been Anna Bartholomew. This is Gini Holden. For those of you looking her up on Wikipedia, you will see her as Gini Ekstein, inventor for Bag for Life. We are Blue Cat. We're looking forward to coming back and seeing you next week for more tips on sales, more interesting bits about science that can help you in your businesses every day. We're Blue Cat. We help founders and executives sell more using science, and we'll see you next week.